There is one mistake almost every woman makes, a quiet mistake hidden behind her charm, her confidence, and her sense of control. It is the reason most men lose their power, and the reason a few rise above everyone else. You will not hear this truth from dating experts or relationship books, because it was never meant to be widely known. It is old, an understanding that once shaped kings and destroyed empires. Women believe they gain power through being desired, but the truth is that desire controls them. And the man who understands this, who stays calm when others panic, who remains silent when others chase, becomes something rare and unshakable. What you are about to learn is how her greatest weakness can become your quiet strength. Not through cruelty, not through games, but through control of yourself. Because real power does not begin with her. It begins within you. The game of attention. Most women do not realize it, but from a young age they learn to play a silent game. Not a game of love, but a game of attention. It is not about kindness or connection, it is about control. She learns early that when men notice her, she feels powerful. When eyes turn toward her, when compliments come, when someone tries to win her, she feels wanted. And in that moment, she believes she has control. It is not love she feels, it is the power that comes from being desired. That attention becomes her invisible weapon, her way of feeling important in a world that constantly tests her worth. She learns that if she can make a man chase her, she does not need to chase anything herself. The more effort he gives, the stronger she feels. Every compliment, every message, every sign of pursuit reminds her that she matters. So she begins to pull the strings. She flirts, then withdraws. She shows warmth, then becomes distant. She disappears just long enough to make you question yourself. And while you overthink, she watches, feeling the quiet satisfaction of control. Most men fall into this trap. They believe they are proving love. They think they are fighting for her attention, but in reality, they have already lost their power. Because the more they chase, the more she controls the rhythm of the interaction. The hidden fear. Here is the secret few understand. Behind her confidence is fear, a fear of being invisible, a fear of no longer being special, a fear that without attention, she will fade into the background. So she creates tension and distance to see if you will still come after her. Every time you do, that fear is temporarily soothed. This is the quiet game of attention most men never recognize. It is not manipulation in her mind, it is survival. But power built on attention is fragile. It only exists as long as you feed it. The moment you stop reacting, everything changes. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop trying to regain her approval, the balance shifts. She begins to wonder why she can no longer affect you. And that curiosity slowly turns into interest. Interest turns into fixation. Her game collapses when you stop playing. That is where real power begins, not by controlling her, but by mastering yourself. The secret of needing nothing. Machiavelli once said that real power belongs to the person who needs nothing. It sounds simple, but it hides one of the deepest truths about control, in life, in love, and in influence. Most people spend their lives chasing what they think they need: attention, approval, love, validation. But the more someone needs something, the weaker they become. Because every need gives another person leverage over them. This is where most men lose balance with women. At first, they seem confident and mysterious. But once they begin craving her attention, checking messages, worrying about her reactions, trying too hard to impress, the power shifts. She stops following his energy. He starts following hers. And the man who chases approval becomes the man she no longer respects. The truth is simple. The less you need, the more powerful you become. When a woman senses that you are complete on your own, something inside her changes. She becomes curious. She wonders why you are calm, why you are not desperate, why you do not play the same game every other man plays. That mystery draws her in. Because independence is rare, and rare things attract attention naturally. Machiavelli understood this long ago. Power is not about taking control from others. It is about refusing to give control away. The man who remains calm when others panic becomes the anchor. He does not beg, he does not chase, he does not explain himself endlessly. He simply stands still, and the world moves around him. The illusion of power. Many women believe their strength comes from being desired. They think that if men chase, compete, and seek approval, they are in control. And for a time, it appears true. Because most men react emotionally. They give time, attention, and effort without realizing that every reaction is fuel. When you chase, she feels important. When you argue, she feels powerful. When you try to please her, she feels in control. But here is the truth behind the illusion. Her power only exists if you give it to her. It lives on your attention. When you stop reacting, when you remain calm, centered, and grounded, the illusion breaks. She becomes uncertain. Her usual methods stop working. Curiosity becomes confusion. Confusion becomes obsession. This is the mistake many women make. They build confidence on how others see them, not on who they truly are. They confuse attention with love and control with strength. But both are fragile, because when value depends on validation, it creates fear. Fear of being ignored, fear of losing influence, fear of becoming invisible. And that fear makes her chase the one man who does not feed it, the man who does not need her attention to feel powerful. The art of quiet power. Quiet power is one of the rarest strengths a man can possess. It is not weakness, it is not shyness, it is control without force, confidence without noise. Most people believe power is loud, that the one who speaks the most or reacts the fastest is in charge. But real control lives in silence. Your calm becomes stronger than her emotions. Your stillness becomes louder than her words. You do not manipulate. You do not dominate. You simply refuse to be controlled. And in that quiet space between her emotions and your steady mind, you stop playing the game. The man who speaks less often holds more influence because silence forces others to reveal their true thoughts. When you stay quiet, something interesting happens. People begin to talk more. They expose what they believe, what they fear, what they want. They try to fill the silence with their own words, and in doing so, they expose themselves. While they speak, you observe, you learn, you keep your emotions steady. That is how quiet power grows, not through words, but through patience. With women, silence is even more powerful. Many women are taught, consciously or unconsciously, that attention equals control. They test you with teasing, with distance, or with emotional pressure to see if you will react. Most men do. They explain themselves, they argue, they chase. And in doing so, they hand over their energy. She wins, not because she is smarter, but because she controls his emotions. But when you stay calm and say nothing, the game changes. She begins to wonder why you are not reacting like other men. Her usual methods stop working. Uncertainty begins to grow in her mind. That uncertainty pulls her toward you, even if she does not understand why. Because silence forces thought, and thought creates curiosity. Curiosity mixed with emotion turns into attraction. Remember this, silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of power. It says, I am in control of myself, I do not need your approval. That quiet energy is what separates confident men from emotional ones. Silence also gives you time to see clearly what is really happening. While others rush to speak, you watch. You notice small details, changes in tone, hidden emotions. You gather information others miss. And because you respond slowly and deliberately, no one can predict you. Unpredictability creates respect and sometimes fear. People fear what they cannot read. When someone cannot read your emotions, they feel your strength. They sense that you are solid, grounded, unshaken. That kind of presence does not need to be loud. It commands. So do not explain too much. Do not rush to defend yourself. Do not react from anger. Let your silence speak louder than words. In a world full of noise, the man who stays calm and quiet becomes the strongest voice in the room. That is the art of quiet power, the strength of presence, the calm that draws respect, and the silence that turns mystery into influence. The reflection principle. Every woman looks for herself inside a man, not in a mirror, but in how he reacts to her. She watches your eyes, she listens to your voice, she studies your attention. When you praise her, she feels valuable. When you ignore her, she feels uncertain. Your reactions become her reflection. This is one of the most hidden truths about attraction. A woman's sense of worth often rises or falls based on the response she receives from the man she desires. If you chase her when she pulls away, if you rush to please her when she becomes distant, you silently tell her that she controls your emotions, and that gives her power. But when you stop reacting, when you remain calm, patient, and composed, her sense of control begins to crack. She starts asking herself, why isn't he affected? Why doesn't he react like other men? That question grows. Soon, she begins thinking about you more than you think about her, not because of what you say, but because of what you don't. Most men lose power by giving constant attention. They believe more compliments, more emotion, and more effort will make her stay. It does the opposite. When a man becomes predictable, he becomes invisible. She already knows how he will respond, and once the mystery is gone, so is the excitement. A strong man breaks that pattern. He stops being a mirror that always reflects her emotions back to her. He becomes like still water, calm, unreadable, deep. She looks into him and cannot fully see herself. That mystery pulls her closer. She wants to feel important again. She wants to earn the reaction she once received so easily. The truth is simple. When you control your reactions, you control the energy between you. When you stop rushing to prove your feelings, she begins to prove hers. She chases the reflection she lost, not because you forced her to, but because her own mind cannot tolerate the silence. This is the reflection principle. It is not a game, it is human psychology. People are drawn to what they cannot easily read. They crave the mystery of someone who remains calm when others lose control. So remember this: the next time you feel the urge to explain, defend, or impress, stop. Stay still. Let your silence speak. Because in that silence, you give her imagination room to work. And imagination is the most powerful mirror of all. The power of self-control. Before you can use anyone's mistake to your advantage, you must first conquer yourself. Because if another person can control your emotions, they control your mind. That is where most men fall. They let feelings rule them instead of mastering their feelings. They become jealous, angry, afraid of losing her. They chase, they argue, they explain. And without realizing it, they give away their strength. Understand this: a woman does not always test you to hurt you. She tests you to see how much control you truly have. She wants to know, can you stay calm when she ignores you? Can you remain patient when she provokes you? Can you keep your balance when emotions rise? When you react immediately, explain yourself, or try to win her back, you show her emotional weakness. But when you stay relaxed, silent, and steady, she feels something different: your control. Self-control does not mean being cold. It means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. You choose what deserves your energy. You do not fight over small things. You do not let her mood become your mood. You understand that many emotional conflicts are traps, and every time you lose your calm, you lose your influence. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. A leader must appear gentle and kind, but remain powerful inside. The same rule applies here. You can care without being weak. You can be kind without losing control. Because the moment you lose your calm, she stops feeling safety and begins seeing insecurity. A man who stays emotionally steady becomes magnetic. A woman can feel it when her words, her silence, or her attitude cannot shake you. That calm separates you from every other man she has known. It creates mystery. It draws her closer, because peace is power, and peace cannot be faked. So when she tests you, smile. When she withdraws, remain still. Your silence will speak louder than words ever could. It says, I am in control, not of you, but of myself. If you can master your emotions, you can shape the world around you. You do not win by shouting louder. You win by setting the tone. You do not beg for respect. Your self-discipline commands it. When chaos rises and everyone else loses control, you remain calm. And the calm man always wins. Self-control does not make you emotionless. It makes you untouchable. Because once your emotions answer only to you, no one can ever use them against you again. The power of stillness. When you learn to stay calm while others lose control, something unusual begins to happen. People stop controlling you and start being influenced by your silence. Your stillness becomes power. This is the power of stillness. Machiavelli once said that a wise ruler does not fight every battle. He watches, waits, and acts only when the moment is right. True power is not loud. It does not shout or demand attention. It moves quietly, but everyone feels it. That same rule applies to modern life, especially to human emotion. Women live in a world of feeling. They read tone, body language, and energy far faster than most men realize. When you argue, over-explain, or chase, you reveal weakness. You show that emotion is guiding you. But when you remain calm, when you choose silence over reaction, she senses something rare: control. And control creates fascination. Most men try to fight emotion with emotion. They raise their voices, send long messages, or try to prove they are right. That only feeds the fire. A man who stays calm in the middle of a storm does not lose power. He becomes the center of the storm. While she spins in confusion or emotion, you remain still, and that stillness pulls her closer. Remember this: she is not your enemy, she is your mirror. If you stay balanced, she feels peace. If you lose control, she feels chaos. You teach people how to treat you by how you react. Quiet authority. The man with the power of stillness speaks less, but says more. Every word feels deliberate. Every pause carries weight. He does not rush to prove himself. His confidence speaks without explanation. That quiet energy creates something deeper than attraction. It creates trust and curiosity. People begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you want, who you really are. And mystery is one of the strongest forces of influence in the world. Understand this: you do not need to chase validation. You do not need to demand attention. People naturally follow what they cannot fully understand. They respect what does not beg for approval. So stay grounded, be calm when others test you. Observe instead of reacting. Because in a world full of noise and neediness, the man who remains silent and self-assured becomes magnetic. That is the true power of stillness. To move others without effort, to lead without words, to influence without losing control of yourself. When you master this, people are drawn to you, not because you control them, but because you control yourself. Master yourself. Real victory is not about controlling women. It is about controlling yourself. That is the truth most men avoid because it is harder to face. It is easier to blame the world than to confront your own weakness. But the real battle is not outside you. It is inside your own mind. Society teaches men to chase approval, to prove their worth through status, money, or attention. But true power does not live in chasing. It lives in patience, in silence, in self-discipline. Machiavelli understood something few ever truly grasp. If you cannot control your emotions, you control nothing. A man ruled by anger, jealousy, or fear is already conquered. Every time someone can provoke a reaction from you, they pull the strings of your mind. The one who can make you lose your calm owns your power. That is the invisible prison most men never escape. The prison of emotional dependence. The real form of control is calmness. The ability to stay steady when others panic. To keep your voice low when others shout. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding chaos. And when chaos is no longer fed, people begin to feel your strength. They sense it in your stillness, in your words, in the way you no longer chase approval. You become different, and the world notices. You begin to attract what you once chased: respect, loyalty, love. These things come to those who no longer need them. That is the quiet paradox of power. The less you try to control, the more control you gain. People are drawn to stability. They trust calmness. And when your emotions are steady, others naturally follow your lead. You do not dominate through fear or manipulation. You influence through presence. You do not shout commands. Your silence carries authority. Machiavelli did not teach cruelty. He taught awareness. He knew that the man who can think clearly when everyone else is emotional will always win. So use your mind wisely, protect your heart, but do not let it rule you. That balance between logic and emotion is the mark of true mastery.